Public notice to the Pope and the Queen, Elizabeth II. March 26, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. Americans have been the victims of an identity theft scheme on an unimaginable scale. The object of this scheme is familiar: access the victim's credit and saddle them with your debts, just exactly as any credit card hacker does, except the government scheme didn't involve plastic cards. Instead, the government, meaning a for-profit foreign commercial corporation in the business of providing governmental services, used false registration processes to mischaracterize and impersonate American babies as United States citizens, territorial citizens, as if you were born in Puerto Rico, and citizens of the United States, municipal citizens, as if you were in the federal civil service. Having deliberately misidentified and impersonated us, the same two corporations, territorial and municipal versions, both ultimately owned and operated by the Pope, were in position to evade their obligation owed to Americans under the constitutions, so their actions become identifiable as treason, and to subject Americans to foreign territorial and municipal laws that actually only pertain to our public employees. The primary perpetrators were members of the bar associations acting under the direction of Westminster and the Lord Mayor in violation of our Treaty of Ghent agreements. Not only did they deliberately and with malice aforethought steal our identities, they kidnapped us into their foreign jurisdiction and subjected us to their foreign laws. And the object of all this? To gain access to our assets for use as collateral backing their debts, and at the same time, gain control of us so that they could arbitrarily come in and act under the color of law to pillage and plunder our assets and resources at will. This was a considerably worse plan for us than just a simple credit card theft. These monsters have aimed at our total enslavement and the coercive extraction of the value of our labor, slavery, as well as the theft of our assets, phony mortgages, titles, and liens on property, as well as racketeering and extortion of our wealth and natural resources under color of law. Having been caught in the act and forced to fold the cards on one of his crime syndicates, the municipal partner in crime, the Pope has left the other side of his racketeering scheme, the territorial government, in place, and is attempting to present this as our salvation in a reprise of good cop bad cop, when in fact both the municipal and territorial government have been engaged in this scheme and acting in collusion to accomplish it since 1937. All the purloined assets that have been siphoned off, all the false registrations and false titles taken to our land and soil and our labor and everything else, including our gold and silver, our patents, our copyrights, our trademarks, our DNA, all bonds and certificates and everything else that is owed to us, the American states and people, are due to be returned to us, not the territorial government. Yet, the Territorial Government Corporation DBA the United States of America, Inc., registered in Scotland, has offered to step in and accept back all the assets and credit owed to us in our behalf. Next, they have tanked the stock market to reduce the apparent value of the stocks of major corporations, and invoked a bunch of wartime statutes to gain coercive control over all the municipal corporation franchises which are in liquidation using the phony coronavirus outbreak as an excuse. Now, they are using our credit to buy up all the devalued stocks and ownership interests in the municipal corporations, but this is all bogus bullshit, too, because we already bought those municipal corporations. Pause. Think. We already bought those municipal corporations. They are ours. We are both the primary and the principal creditors of the municipal government and all its various franchises. We paid for these corporations and their franchises already, and now, our feckless public servants running the territorial government, while receiving their payroll from our largesse, are using our credit to buy these same corporations back for us, again. Goat-roping insanity and criminal insanity, combined, does not begin to explain what has been done here, again, done, in our names, abusing our credit and our assets, while we are standing right here, presenting ourselves, and needing no further representation, by these cads, who never had any authority to meddle in our financial affairs in the first place. Read the constitutions. Who are the parties and principals involved? The American state citizens, not any state of state citizens, and the Pope and the British monarch and the Lord Mayor of London. We have gone to the trouble of explicitly correcting their false registrations and have declared our correct political status as American state nationals, and we have acted as American state citizens to assemble our actual states of the Union, and we have operated our lawful unincorporated federation of states doing business as the United States of America, and we have clearly told the Pope and all our respective employees and subcontractors where to get off. The municipal corporations and all that they hold and possess, are ours. We aren't offering to extend our credit to buy them again. The Queen and the Pope need to buy them on their own nickels and give them back to us, along with everything else they have purloined that properly belongs to us. Apparently, the majority of our territorial employees, including the members of the Territorial Congress now representing the United States of America, and those running this renegade Scottish corporation that is merely infringing upon our good name and working a credit fraud scheme based on similar names deceit, see our publication of their charter, posted on our websites as a warning to all those who would otherwise do business with them and think they were doing business with us instead, are either sad face, 1, none too bright, or 2, think that we are multiple bricks short of our load. In either case, this is public notice of what the Pope has pulled here, both directly using the municipal government, and indirectly, using the territorial Commonwealth government which he operates under the Queen's oversight. Caveat emptor. This is also public notice that a credit theft by the territorial government and the characters operating the Scottish entity DBA, the United States of America, Incorporated, is underway, as described. The essence of the crime is to liquidate municipal corporations which the same players paid for using our credit and capital to buy, pretending to pay us back via the liquidation, but at the same time turning around and improperly accessing more of our credit via the Scottish ringer and the territorial government to buy back what we already own for us, and never in fact returning the assets or the profit from all this skullduggery to us or to our control. This is the fault of the generals and their bankers. They have been entrusted with the care of our money since 1863 and made a total botch of it. Whereupon we are overriding General Order 100 as the actual civilian government of this country and officially removing these bankers from any further position of trust or authority related to us, our country, or our assets. Our assets are to be returned to us and to our control without further obstruction or continuing nefarious self-service by the generals or their Scottish collaborators. Mr. Mnuchin has been instructed to open a mercantile account for us with 50 sub-accounts and has been instructed to roll up and roll over all assets including the municipal franchises into these accounts as deposits for the benefit of the American states and people. This is simple, logical, upfront instruction. Set up our mercantile accounts, transfer the assets, fire the Scottish bankers for malfeasance, and stop thinking that we are brain dead or still asleep. General Order 100 is hereby rescinded by the actual civilian government of this country. The Commander-in-Chief is directly responsible for his commands. The territorial government is to resume normal operations at the earliest opportunity and to cancel the national emergency. Their government is not under attack and is not suffering any emergency as a result of any infectious disease or other actual cause beyond the infestation of their own ranks by criminals and perverts, which we expect them to handle without any big Hollywood production or gory excuses for exposing the public to the depths of criminal depravity these governors and generals and admirals have allowed on our shores and perpetuated in our names. If they value their lives, they should be silent with their excuses and simply remove the false registrations, the predators, and the scum, without further ado and disruption. There is no reason to expose the public to cannibalism or witchcraft or the hideous sins these madmen have perpetuated against humanity. The sickos among us simply need to be gone, including Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci and all the central bankers who have participated. Tell the generals and the heads of the DIA, CIA, FBI, DOJ, DHS, et alia, that exposing the stupendous sins and criminality of others, does not make up for their own. If their predecessors had been doing their jobs and acting in good faith, none of this crime would have ever happened in the first place, and we are not likely to miss that point. So please cancel plans for any grandiose national expose and save us the trauma of having to witness child sacrifices on videotape and the slavering up of adrenochrome by bankers and politicians and Hollywood stars acting like crazed banshees. Take these practices before military tribunals as crimes against humanity, bring forward the evidence, and execute the perpetrators. This is not rocket science. If you kill, molest, or kidnap children in pursuit of a drug-induced religious experience, you die under our public law and under abundant international law, both. So there is no excuse for pandering to silly sentimentalists or jurists lacking fortitude and moral purpose. Anyone indulging in such religious rites is to be hung by the neck until dead, shot via firing squad, sent to the guillotine, or dispatched underwater with an infrared laser through the eye socket, as may be necessary in some cases to accomplish the necessary dispatch. As to other business, the enhanced coronavirus bugs belong to the Brits, and the total mismanagement belongs to the Pope, so our counter-offer is that the Pope and the Queen, together, pay for all costs of all relief and stimulus packages in any way related to the enhanced coronavirus, pay for all business and employment losses, remit $1 trillion to our account for every innocent American killed, and have no recourse or access to our credit to fund these remedies. Chief Justice John Roberts is to be arrested under order of the Lord Mayor, pursuant to our Treaty of Ghent, for the illegal and unlawful transfer of $3 trillion to his own bank account, siphoned from looting that occurred during the George W. Bush administration's 9/11 attack. He is, self-evidently, removed from office, effective immediately, for cause. In addition to his financial crimes, he is to be held and tried for treason and crimes against humanity. We recommend that Mr. Trump stop playing with the stock market, stop wasting our time and assets, find an appropriate excuse to end the national emergency for the territorial government, and start thinking about a good replacement for Chief Justice Roberts. We also recommend that all and any plans to pass a national sales tax be strictly and explicitly restricted to actual federal government employees. We can't say anything about your shameful mistreatment of your employees, but we can certainly raise the bar and prevent any further misunderstanding about your statutes having any application to our populace. James Clinton Belcher, Head of State. Anna Maria Riesinger, Fiduciary.